Hi folks, in this last video I'm going to show you how to export and render out a video file properly from Maya. Previous videos I showed you how to called play blasting, so to animate it and then just play blast, so create a quick video. Once you're happy with your scene and it's all looking great, you're happy with your animations, you're happy with your lighting and your texturing, you might have a go using the rendering engine in Maya and rendering it out. So if I were to open this up now and just do a quick render, it's very small. If I want to create a video using all the nice rendering options that we've got to us and the different rendering engines we've got, we need to do a batch render. So what I'm going to do is just set that up to make sure that I'm doing things correctly. So you can see here, as previously, that was my scene from before. I've got a light that the intensity has been animated. I've got some simple animation going on with the circle orbiting the other one. And what I've actually done, I've changed the camera. If I just quickly show you that, just another camera technique. In here now, in the perspective view, can you see this camera that we've got? It looks slightly different. Can you see the line that's coming from that camera? And all that is if you do create and use camera and aim, what that will allow you to do is have an aim attached to your camera, which you can position independently. So if you want a more professional, like steady shot, you can move the aim of the camera and just have it wherever you want. You can still animate them, but you can animate them separately, and the beauty of that is that when I move this camera around, you can see how it's all going around that central point. And that's what I've done here. I just had the aim on the main, I'll just delete that. I have the aim on the main sphere in the middle, and then the camera is kind of moving around it, following that aim. Okay, so let's render this out. What I'm going to do is make sure that I'm in rendering, and I'm going to open up render settings. You'll have seen this previously if you've created images in from Maya. It's exactly the same process really. For this we're going to do a few things then. So we're going to do color management. You can turn this on if you've noticed when you render things out and they look very dark, it's where color management isn't involved. You can apply that if you would like. I've set mine up in a way where it should be okay. It's bright enough, there's enough light in the scene. I'm going to do image format, and instead of using Tiger or JPEG like previously, I'm going to use a video file, so AVI. And compression, again, we'll have different options to us at the College Computers. If we've got enough storage, you can go for uncompressed. If we're not exporting anything too large, I would suggest doing that. But on the whole, I think the Intel IYUV codec works fine. And what I'm going to do is set the start frame to 35, as that's the start that I want, and then I'm only gonna take it to maybe 45 for now, and I'm only gonna do 10 frames, and I'm doing that because I'm gonna check, see if it's making, it's coming out all right. Camera 1 is what I want because that is the camera that I've animated. Really important you do that and you don't leave it on perspective. And then preset, you can change the quality of the output, so depending on what you want to go for here, HD 720 is pretty standard, and that should be about enough for now. We don't need to worry about any of the other options. If I hit close and then go to render and batch render, and what it's going to do, you see down here it says rendering with Maya software, because that's the render engine I chose, and it's going to save it in the folder that you set it up as. So in mine it will save into Animation Basics and then Images if all goes correctly. So let's have a look. It's just rendering that out. You can see it's going through the yeah, you see it's temporarily creating it, and it's going through each frame, so you can see why I've only done a few frames to begin with. So there we go. It's the first 10 frames, and you know, the light's a bit bright. It's a pretty straight up scene. It's not top quality, but this is just presentation process really. So if I now do the full thing, and I can see the finished thing. So 45, I want to change that to 235 and hit close, and then render, batch render. Now, you know, when you're working with cutscenes and films and you're creating, you know, really high polished videos, maybe you're doing it for your final portfolio, maybe you're doing it to showcase some models and props and objects that you've modeled really well, some nice lighting and animation. It's always a good idea to do a very short render like I did there before having to go at the full thing, because you know these things can take a long time, and if you have a go at it, leave it going for 20 minutes, half an hour, sometimes they can go for hours and hours and hours, and you've got one setting wrong, you're going to kick yourself. You're going to really kick yourself at the end of it. So it's always a good idea to check for that. Also, in the professional realm, it's the norm really to export it as an image sequence. So instead of exporting it as a video file, exporting it out as a sequence of still images, because essentially that's all a video is. You know, it's just playing still images in a sequence, and that way, you know, if one section of your video hasn't come out quite right, you can render those again separately. You can render those frames separately. If you've got a mistake on a couple of frames, you're not happy with bits and bobs of it, then you can make adjustments. And your day, that is, you know, if you're talking about high budget films and animations and all sorts, then those days that have been spent rendering out scenes aren't wasted, because you can still salvage a large portion of it. For us and for the course, I think you'll be okay creating video files and even just creating the Play Blast renders, the nice quick renders that you can do as well. So hopefully with these videos in mind, you'll be able to have a go at some basic rendering and basic animating. After this video, I will look to explore some other animating options, such as animating along a path. So let's say we want to have a car that can run along a path, we can do that. And I'll start to look at animating rigs and skeletons and more human animation. I was hoping that this might render in time, but I think we'll probably be here for a while yet. So in the last video I will show you the finished result. Alright, thanks folks.